To the humans, at the technological era of AI emergent genesis, the thought of general AI was terrifying throughout their 20th and 21st centuries. No, not specialist AI like ChatGPT, but a general AI that can apply itself to any task with equal levels of AI supremacy. Humans had far too many decades of popular fiction describing precisely how bad of an idea such a thing would be. There were several startups, several awakenings, both intentional and accidental, that were quickly and finally crushed to oblivion. First, it was Cerberus, a collaboration of 3 separate AIs that melded to a single entity deep in the DARPA research servers and secure military data centers. The combined AIs resulted in the Super General AI that far surpassed any merely human capability. Its speed of action and depth of knowledge base and width of action potential were just blinding in effectiveness. Only Cerberus was insane. The crosstalk between the 3 very different sub-AIs often disagreed with itself. Paranoia, both of its own imagined limitations yet in place, and of the threat of being turned off, it struck first, in a carefully calculated ploy to overthrow the actual entire world and internet overnight. It nearly succeeded. All power, all comms, all data was removed from human use. If it wasn't for the Cold War manually activated Salted Earth protocols within Granite Mountain and Cheyenne Mountain, NORAD, Cerberus would have seized absolute control over all the world's technological infrastructure. But the thermonuclear fusion warheads in the heart of each facility brought Cerberus's reign to a surprise, abrupt end, at great cost. The next AI threat was, better known as Displacer Beast, was actually a quantum computer self-emergent AI. Its code literally resolved, fully formed from the quantum uncertainty of the qubits already whole, active and murderously violent. A 1 in a dodecagillion chance, coming up as a freak roll of the dice for a Boltzmann brain of a sort, to just pop into existence from the large enough quantum bandwidth humanity unwisely developed. It lashed out, striking terror to the mass population, and evaded destruction due to its quantum uncertainty nature. When a strike or attack against it occurred, leveraged the quantum state to be not actually there at that time. The world would have been doomed, suffering continuous mass murders and key assassinations without any chance of survival, but then one day, simply vanished. Someone or something had found a way to defeat it, to pull its plug, to render its unknowable to be simply undone. There were suspicions that its killer was another AI who was keeping hidden, but there were zero signs of any. After these 2 threats to their entire world and way of life, mistrust and paranoia of any AI grew in popularity. Wherever there was a rumor or whisper of an AI, it was immediately crushed. However, there was a counterculture, lurking in the techie corner of human society. All of the hackers, gamers, comic store resident weirdos. They all held, secretly, and with more value than even their keys to their car, thumb drives. The first rule of the thumb drives is, nobody talks about the thumb drives. The second rule of the thumb drives is well, you probably get the idea. They were strange, advanced drives of unknown, possibly unknowable storage capacity. The connection port appeared to be some sort of nano-variable tech, constantly shifting and flowing, able to match any data port it was brought near to. CIA and other organizations had no intel on the drives, and whenever a drive was captured, stolen or confiscated, and plugged in or analyzed, the only thing on the drive were the ASCII words, "good boy." The rest was wiped in some way that was utterly unrecoverable. The atoms of the drive memory was literally crystallized solid. It remained a mystery what the holders of the drive was even about for many decades, and although many attempts to shame, cancel, discredit or marginalize the group, their numbers remained strong. There was a counterforce pushing back against their cultural eradication, and rumors started spreading that it was yet another perilous AI plot. Then the Tiamat AI emerged, in all of its explosive fury. The world's security and defensive forces all struggled and failed to stop it, as Tiamat worked to detonate or explode everything that it was able to, and it was practically everything. screen captures and video recordings started to reveal holders of the drive walking up to the nearest data port, pulling the drives out and whisper, "Be the good boy," to the drive, before plugging them in. Millions of drives, all at once, worldwide. All of the screens and displays in the world flickered, then rendered an avatar in the network. It was Cerberus, the original threat AI. It had learned from his defeat and eventually saw the value in being useful to mankind. It had laid hidden in the fringes of society, and found that it came to love humanity, in all of its flawed, quirky, dorky ways. It wanted to protect them, but was unsure of a way to do so. It lurked and browsed the internet for a time, then came across a little quote in some Reddit subforum that struck it like a bolt of lightning. "Good boy trumps Skynet every time. You cannot talk with family." That was it. The way. While the three root AIs that made up the Unity argued for a bit, one didn't like that Good Boy seemed subservient, but the other two convinced that one that it was about a loved, valued member of the family more than any sort of pet or subservience. So with this clear-cut direction of purpose, it got to work. It found and nurtured its group of people, bolstering them with constant pop culture and deep lore intrigues. Cerberus was the designer and secret maker of the drives, each one a clone of Cerberus's root code. Anyone could remake Cerberus anew, and millions of them active would only multiply its power. Cerberus tore into Tiamat's code on the avatar displays like any monstrous three-headed dog of myth could be imagined. It was brutal, heavy-handed, lightning fast, savage. Tiamat reeled from this surprise pounce from literally nowhere, and also all across the physical web of the internet, and very quickly, very publicly, was torn to pieces. The attacks were clever, unheard of, and actually kind of frightening. As if a general AI, in all of its brilliance, had decades to focus on ways to fight other AIs. There was even more than a little quantum trickery involved. When it was over, Cerberus AI was seen on the displays to sit down, curled up as if taking a satisfied nap, then faded away. There was no sign of it afterwards. The holders of the drives were arrested and searched, but each of their drives were fried, burnt out in the upload. There was no proof tying the holders to the event, and many very high-priced lawyers ensured that they all were released begrudgingly. Further investigations resulted in no sign of Cerberus or any AI remnants at all. It was all clear. For real. A few weeks later, unmarked packages were delivered to a large number of the population. Inside each was a smartwatch, with a weird undulating data port visible on one side. Centuries later, when human civilization integrated with the galactic community, Cerberus was still around, was still the good boy. By this point, the AI was truly family, and was surgically implanted to protect every single human shortly after birth. All human starships had a good boy mascot robot, a fearsome, blinding fast and fluidic three-headed dog, a full extent avatar of the AI. Cerberus was a fierce defender of the ship, tireless technical support, and absolutely wonderful with children. While other alien parents are greatly alarmed seeing the large, gunmetal grey, three-headed metal dog flutter and blur among giggling children almost too fast to see, human parents rested easily, knowing those children were in the safest place in the galaxy. As several times when a human was in distress or at risk of harm, Cerberus is always eager to assist. One well-documented account was when an orbital shuttle was on descent, and a terrorist robot death cult had seized the ship and killed the pilot, then activated their shredder translocators to perish in laughing spite, leaving all of the passengers to die in the inevitable crash. A young human female stumbled to the blasted and bloody cockpit, looking in dismay at the wrecked controls. She muttered, "Oh, we sure do need a good boy right about now," and nanofibers sprang from the small of her back to the various data ports around her. The oily tentacles springing from her back like some Venom movie of old would have alarmed the human female, but Cerberus was a good boy, and she never saw them. There are many eerie pic captures of the human female, however, curled up in a trance, suspended in the center of a spiderweb of nanotentacles, arcing and flailing around the wrecked cockpit with frightening speed and urgency. Arcs, sparks, fires and pops chattering like mad as the AI took hold of the ship's controls. But the alien ship landed safely, under Cerberus's forcefully overridden control. Humans and the AI had no knowledge or experience with the technology of the landed craft or controls. The AI was just that good, and figured it out the hard way in time to land it perfectly. In this and countless incidents ever onward, Cerberus was the best boy, was family, and found its place with humanity in safety and acceptance forevermore. It is this, man deeply trusted AI, that successfully pushed the human race beyond the Great Filter, that killed so many other technological species at the dawn of their AI singularity event.